Hello Darts Nutz, welcome to Darts Review channel. So this video is my review part 2 of the Mission Samurai Infinity dartboard. Now, as you know, when I do reviews of dartboards, I like to do a proper test, and I've done I've put it down as 50 plus hours, but I think I've done probably closer to 70 hours on it. And like I do with other boards, I've deliberately not rotated it so that I can concentrate as much wear as possible to see how it performs. Now, if you've seen my comparison video of the Blade 6s, you will have seen I've done a various amount of tests on that. So I've done the same test for this board. So what I'll do is I'll show you the results of them tests first, and then we'll have a look at the board, and then I'll give you my conclusion of what I think about it. It's held up pretty well actually, so I am surprised it's done as well as it has, but there's a couple of little niggles which I'll mention later on. Just a quick look on the box and contents first of all. Just your usual gear, just the board with the brackets and screws. Just some pics of the boards like I normally do, but I actually did these after I did the preview, so that's why it's got a few holes here and there. The spider's pretty much like any of the others, but I think the Blade 6's spiders are still better because I kind of like that triangular spider on the blades. If you look on the close-up pic on the end, on this one, it's more of a kind of a flat edge. And just some measurements of the segments. I think all the modern boards are pretty much the same now. All seem to be very similar dimensions. Right, this is the video from my Blade 6 comparison test. So I had a dart with two marks, one at 10mm and one at 15mm, and I used this firmness gauge to push the dart point into the board and then measure on the gauge how much effort it took, and then recorded the measurements. Right, so this is all the results that I measured from the firmness test at 10mm and 15mm. The higher the number means the firmer it was. Now, I don't know how well you can see this because I'm looking on my computer, but I'll zoom in a little bit so you might be able to get a better look, but you can pause the video and check it out yourself. But what I will point out is you'll get sections here where it says the treble 20 15mm. It's quite firm there, 4.9, 3.6 and 6, but then you'll get quite a lot of the big numbers, like the big 3 at 10mm was quite soft, 1.1, 1.0, 1.5, and again fairly soft on the where's it gone? The big 6, that was 1.7, 1.5, 1.9. So there did seem to be a little bit of a mix. There seemed to be some areas where it was like very soft and some where it was quite firm, but that's all of the totals, and this is what it is compared with the Blade boards. I've got the Blade 5 dual core, Blade 6 standard, Blade 6 dual core and the Blade 6 triple core, and now I've added the Infinity on the right, as you can see, and I've coloured it in again. I had to redo it because obviously you've got the Infinity now. So the red is the firmest numbers, orange is the next, then yellow, then green and then white. So if you look, the Blade 5 dual core and Blade 6 dual core are still the two firmest, surprisingly, and the Infinity is probably firmer overall than the Blade 6 and the triple core, but it has a couple of sections there where it's firmer than the other boards, and some like there, again the big 3, where it's actually softer than the triple core. So like I say, it seems a little bit of a mix, but I'll zoom in a little bit in case you want to study that, and I'll give you a quick scroll. Then I took all the measurements, 84 measurements, and divided it by 84 just to get a basic average of the total. So that came out at 3.11. 10 mil was 2.51, 15 mil 3.76. And again, it's the Blade 5 boards there, and the highest on the Blade 5, the Blade boards was the Blade 6 dual core, 3.85, then the Blade 5 dual core, so the Infinity sits behind them too, and just ahead of the standard Blade 6 and the Blade 6 triple core. And if you look at the 15 mil total, that seemed to be quite a bit more different. On the Blade dual core boards it was 4.83 and 4.79, but on the Infinity 3.76, and it's only 3 of a decimal better than the Blade 6, so not a huge difference on some of them numbers. So once again, this is the video from my Blade 6 comparison, and I used this plastic tube to do a drop test where I dropped the dart down the tube and then recorded how deep it penetrated. So this is the results of the drop test. Just a quick test this, but as you can see, the big 20 16 mil and the ball at 15 mil were fairly soft when you compare it to the blade boards. The big numbers on the blades, apart from the triple core, were all around 10 and 11, but the triple core seemed to be softest overall. 16 mil, 15 mil, 15 mil, 12 and 11, but the 25s on the other blades were quite firm, and the 25 on the Infinity at 9 mil is quite firm as well, but the bullseye on the Infinity seems to be softer than the others. So anyway, if you want to check that out, you can pause the video. So on the blade comparison video, I did a quick wear test where I hit the treble 3 section 1000 times, and Ryan Kenny commented, "I need a time lapse of you stabbing the board 1000 times." So just for you, Ryan, here it is. So this was the before pick, and after doing that 1000 stabs on it, my arm was a bit shaky, and I didn't realise the after pick that I took was a little bit shaky and blurry, so I apologise for that, but I didn't realise until I came onto the computer to check it. Right, so the quick wear test after 1000 hit, the results. As I did before, I've put the numbers there, and I've put it in red, the amount of firmness lost. Now this is more interesting because obviously it depends on which part of the board. They might have different levels of firmness of when I've started, but the Infinity seems to have lost less firmness overall than what the blade board's done, as you will see. So if you look at them numbers in red, I think that's really the more important thing here. So you got 1.0, 0.5, 1.5, 0.9, 0.6 and 1.9, and then if you look at the numbers on the blade boards, overall I would say they seem to be higher, and even higher on the triple core. So I think that was quite an interesting test, that. So for me, looking at that test, it looks like the blades have lost more firmness with wear. So does that mean that they don't wear as well? Who knows? It may also depend on the player and the conditions as well. So I used the same sound recording app on my phone as what I did on the blade comparison video. I did 10 throws and recorded the sounds, and then I'll show you the results. Right, so this is all the totals that are recorded on video off my phone, but like I mentioned before, the phone may not be picking up the sound the same way the human ear does. It may be recording high sounds that we don't think is high, because for me it just doesn't seem right. I mean, for me it sounded quieter when it was on the clamp with the surround, but according to the results here, it was quieter with just the wedges only and no surround. So I don't know, I know it's not a huge difference, but even so, well, that's the results. Now if you compare that to the blade boards, again, just maybe slightly higher on some of them, and some of them again without the rotor lock on was higher than it was with the rotor lock. So like I say, it could be the phone just picks up the sound a bit different, so I'm not 100% sure it's a worthwhile test using the phone. Overall, if I was to go by what I heard myself, like I say, it sounded quieter with the clamp and the surround to me, but it's the only way I can test it. Right then, this is what the board looks like, and I would say I've done well over 50 plus hours and could be closer to 70, and I would say that is pretty good considering how much use it's had, and I haven't rotated it. And as you know, in the reviews I've been going around the board, so I'll just give you a look around the board and then I'll just tell you about me little niggles. There's nothing really too major. I think on the whole it's still looking really good. Let's go to the bullseye. Zoom out a little bit. Now, little niggle, first one is the blue logos. Now, whether it's just me, I don't know, but when I'm going for the doubles, I find these logos quite distracting. Whether it's because they're kind of like a brightish blue, I don't know, but like I say, it may be just me, because I do have slightly dodgy, funny eyesight. So, and it's not because it's not green. I know green's my favourite colour, but blue's my second favourite. But that's something that's easily remedied if I wanted to. Could just black it out with a marker pen. So that's not a massive major issue. But what the problem is that I have found is that when I first got it, the 25 was really stiff and hard, and the bullseye was quite soft. And after it's had a fair bit of use, the green 25 is still a little bit firm, but I find across the board there seems to be like inconsistency with the firmness. There's parts where your darts will just sink right in, and there's other parts, like you see that there, that is quite hard, that there. And I don't know why that is, whether it's to do with the ink or whether it's to do with the spider. Maybe, see, that doesn't feel as hard. But you go to the outside and it's really soft. So I have a sneaky suspicion that it's probably a mixture of the spider compressing the fibres and maybe the ink. But like I say, it's just a bit inconsistent with the firmness. Some parts you'll find really hard spots, and in other parts you'll find really soft spots. So it's not a huge issue, but it may be for people who are throwing light darts, or if your darts are landing more flat, if you hit a firm spot, they may not penetrate. For me, it hasn't really been a problem. It's just something that I've noticed. But on the whole, it's done really well, and I'm quite pleased with how it's performed. But just because of that, it's just stopping me from giving it a top spot. So I'll finish up now. So there you go, that's my update on the Samurai Infinity. It came pretty close to being a top board. It's not far off. I mean, the little bit of niggle with the logo, that's more of a personal thing, but the actual main niggle is the indifference in the firmness across the board. Like I said, it's a little bit soft in some parts and a little bit hard in others. I would prefer it if it was a little bit more uniform across it. And also, I'm not the kind of player that has a lot of dropouts and bounce outs anyway. I think it's just because my darts land at a bit of an angle and got a certain amount of firmness to my throw. But if you're a very light throw or your darts are landing more flat, you may have some issues with the firm parts of the board, and that's the only reason why I'm not going to give it top spot. But like I say, it came pretty close and it still looks in pretty good condition, considering I haven't turned it and just focused on that main part. And also it's worn in fairly well. So like I say, it came close but not quite close enough. But what I do rely on is your feedback as well. So if you've already used the board and you've had a fair amount of time on it, let us know in the comments what you think about it, because it also helps other people. So that's the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one. Happy darting.